gonna go ahead and get started. Everybody at home, go ahead and pay attention. We're all gonna get started here. All right, welcome everybody in person and everybody online to our ALA Department of Michigan Paperwork 101 training. This is gonna be going over how to properly fill out your transmittal form, your transmittal list, your new member application, the member data form, and then your Alamus access form. We're hoping that this can be the beginning of some trainings that we'll be offering on different things for membership as we go forward, and we'll keep everybody updated on that. But welcome to the first one. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hold all the questions until the end. Go ahead and write down any questions you have while we're going. Go ahead and write that down. List any questions you have on your paperwork training. Then a lot of you are going to have the same questions. So if someone asks the same question you were going to ask, go ahead and cross that off. We'll be answering general questions that relate to the group as a whole at the end. So if it's an individual thing, like I had this person, membership number, blah, 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 we'll deal with that later. We want to have the opening questions and for everybody here, because there's actually about 50 people that are between online and here. So we're going to want to stick to general questions, but if you do have questions about certain situations or individual items, please wait until after the class and I can discuss those with you then. All right, next slide, please. Again, the paperwork we'll be going through today is your transmittal form, transmittal list, new member application, member data form, and Alamus access form. Is everybody decently familiar with these forms? Okay, I figure we're gonna have a lot of membership people here. If you ever need forms, one of the things that I'm noticing in department as I'm getting transmittals in is people using older forms or outdated forms. A lot of the problem with that is a lot of those older forms will say great grandchild on it. There'll be things in those older forms that just aren't updated. For those of us that are here live, we have membership applications from every decade since 1920, and you can see how much they change. And how often we have been updating these forms over the last 100 years. All of your forms can be found at mishawaka.org/forms. So if you're needing a form, you're needing an updated form, that's where you want to go. That's going to have that website is ridiculously important for everybody in the auxiliary. I always say if you're taking a college class, this website is your textbook. So you want to get in there. It's going to have your department officers. It's going to have your district level representatives listed. It's going to have straight contact information for them. It's going to have your forms that you can update. Mishawaka.org for Michigan American Legion Auxiliary.org is going to be a huge resource for everybody. So check that out. Get a chance to go through that when you can. Next, please. All right, we're going to start with the transmittal form, which is this one. For everybody, I don't know how it's going to work. That's that one. So everybody take a look at that. We're going to start with that form. We're just going to go through it one at a time. These are just some of the things. And as we go through this, I'm going to go through different stories of what we've seen in department when they come in and kind of why this is very important, why certain things you have to do. First one up in the top corner is your transmittal number. So as you know, during the year, you'll have different transmittals. Transmittals 1, I have some, they go up to all the way up to transmittal 30. You're going to put your transmittal number up there in that corner. Sometimes a lot of this stuff is left blank. Please fill this whole thing out. It's going to be really helpful with you. It's going to cut back on mistakes for membership. So your transmittal number is going to go up there. Then you're going to have your membership year and date. So if you're submitting something from a former member from 2023, right, or a transmittal sending in a copy, put on that top in that year for 2023. If you're doing, so that's where keeping that, because that way, sometimes when we're in ALA MIS, we'll mark off 2025, because it says 2025 up there, and it was to get somebody's back years done. So that's that part. Unit name, the name of your unit, and then the next section where it says district number and unit number, make sure you put the district number in the district number section and the unit number in the unit number section. We actually had one where somebody had put their unit in the district section and then put the district number in their unit, and their people were entered into that unit because that's how it read. So be really, really aware of that. Next slide, please. All right. So continuing on the transmittal form, I want to kind of go over what some different definitions are, so everybody kind of knows, especially for the people that are new. And some of this is going to be review for a lot of people because they've been here, but it's nice to catch this fresher. So, renewals are people who are members and want to renew their membership. So they remember last year, they want to continue their membership, they don't want to break in it. Those are going to be your renewals. Your new members are going to be people who want to become members for the first time. Okay, there's also a caveat with that I'll explain later in the training. But that's what a new member is classified as. A rejoin is going to be a person who was a member and who wants to be a member again. So let's say they remember the 90s, they remember 2000s, they were a member in 2021, they want to be a member again. Those are going to be rejoins, they need to be rejoined back in. And then you're going to have transfers, and that's people who are transferring from one unit into another unit with their membership. We'll keep going on some definitions. Next slide, please. Am I going at an okay pace for everybody? I'm not zipping through anything? Okay. Next is junior. Junior is anyone under the age of 18. A senior is going to be anyone 18 years of age or older. That's an important distinction. And again, as we go through the training, I'm going to give you guys some different stories of why those distinctions are important and why certain things need to go in certain sections of the paperwork. Next is going to be your credit memo. So if you have a credit memo that you want to use towards your unit dues, that is something that you would put into the transmittal. If you're going to get a credit, we do have to have a physical credit memo from you. Otherwise we can't process it. And then dues are simply the money that is owed to national, to the department, and to the unit by its members. Okay. Senior dues currently are $31.50 plus whatever the unit charges. Junior dues are $4.25 plus whatever the unit charges. So if you're at home or you're here and you're looking at your paperwork and the pricing does not say $31.50 and $4.25, you're using outdated paperwork. So you're going to go to our Michelak's website and get those new forms, which you can fill out online and print out. So you're going to want to go there. So again, $31.50 is the current for seniors, and $4.25 is the current dues price for juniors. Okay. Total people and payments. Now this is where the numbers can start to skew, and this is where some confusion can start to come in. Add up the number of people on your transmittal and their total dues owed. So one example is if a transfer has already paid their previous unit, you do not owe money for them, but you still want to list them on here. You would put 2 transfers total $31.50 because one transfer already paid. So that counts them on their list if you've added them to the list. And then you have the one that you still need to pay through. Okay. Also, if someone says they're not sure if they paid their previous unit or unit, that is something you can check with ALA MIS if you have your ALA MIS access, and we will be going over ALA MIS access forms later and how to get that. That is the other major resource that I think is really important for unit leadership and for unit membership chairs, is that ALA MIS system. Finally, we have the enclosed check number. So at the bottom here of the transmittal, you'll see where it says enclosed check number. This is extremely important. Please put that in there. I would say, honestly, about half of the transmittals that we get here at department, this part is not filled out. Problem is if we need to go look something up from 2023, 2022 or earlier, and we don't have a check number listed here, it's very hard to coordinate everything with our QuickBooks, our accounting, our membership, all of that. So please write your check number there so we can keep your paperwork with that check. And that way, if there's an issue in the future, we can find that easier for you. On your checks, make sure they are made out to, and this is with everything, this is donations, make sure ALA Department of Michigan. Okay, because sometimes we'll get stuff. We've actually received checks that are made out to individual people. The Legion. So make sure that your checks are ALA Department of Michigan. Again, this is extremely important for our accounting, our filing, and our records retention here at state headquarters, which, as you can see, we have over 100 years of paperwork that we're keeping track of here at department. All right, slide. Okay. So at the bottom, this that's on this slide is going to go over the bottom. This is very important to make very legible as well in case there's an issue. We do send your packets back, your transmittals back to you, so that you can fix all of your paperwork, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But again, this is going to be your remit to information. Print your name, the title you have within your unit, the mailing address that you want your paperwork returned to if there is an issue, city, state, and zip, your phone, a very clear email address in case there's anything we need to do with that. And then again, a signature at the bottom. This where it says signatures, it's very important that you put your signatures because these are official documents that are kept. And so without signatures, we can't do a lot of this stuff. Again, per our protocols and procedures, any incomplete or incorrect transmittal is returned to the unit. The reason we do this is because we want to keep all of the units' paperwork, payments, everything together. So if you send something in, we're going to send it back to you in its entirety so that you can take care of it that way. And that way we're not piecemealing stuff together with voicemails and emails and things like that. We've got it all in one place with the payment all at one time. If anyone has any questions about the transmittal form right now, go ahead and start writing those down in your notes so we can address those here at the end. Okay, so that's what's going to be what we're reviewing on the transmittal form today. Okay, all right. The next form we're going to be working with is our transmittal list. Okay, this is where you're going to list all of your members that you are renewing, rejoining, new members, everything that's going to be on this list. So this is what we're working with right now. I'll give everybody a chance to get that. Let's have your list. Okay, so the transmittal list, it's going to be used for transmitting your membership. Up in the right hand corner here, you're going to write your unit number. Again, caveat, same thing that happened earlier when someone put the district here. Well, when they turn the page, they put the district number here too. So you want to make sure that is unit level. So your unit number here and the date of the transmittal, okay? Please put your list in alphabetical order and include junior members with senior members. This is really important because this is going to help you with your organization of it too, and it's going to help us process it faster because we don't have to look, well, okay, here's a letter A, here's a letter A. All right, now here's a B, here's, and go through it that way. So keeping that in order is going to help us get that in a more efficient way. And again, put your list in alphabetical order and include your junior members together with your senior members. The next caveat is you're going to want to group together any expired or former members who need to be rejoined. And then you're going to list your name of new members in a separate group. So let's say you have 3 renewals. You're going to write those 3 here, you know, in the first 3. You skip number 4, and then you write 3 rejoins in 5, 6, and then 7. And then you'll have a space, and then your new members, 9, 10, you know, however you want to do that. But keep those groups separate, and each group should be in alphabetical order. That's going to be able to help us process those much quicker and get your membership in a timelier fashion, so that everything you're seeing on your end is matching what we have here in department. Like I said, skip the lines between those groups. Next slide. So this is important. You can list people on the transmittal list who have already played online, but do not send in a payment for those members. Okay, so if they have paid online and you, for your records, want to keep them in the transmittal list, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But in this far left-hand column, you'll see join renewed online. You're going to check next to that the ones who have all renewed online. So that way I can go through and I don't have to process that person because they're already processed and done. If you send in a payment for that person, you have now sent department too much money, which means your whole transmittal has to be returned back. That's kind of the thing too, and why this training is so important and why paying attention to these documents is if one thing is wrong, it craters the entire transmittal. And so that's something to keep in mind. So if a lot of what we've received too is the highlighted lists of membership, and so it'll basically be a list of people and then they'll highlight the people that are getting renewed. If you're using the highlighted copy of your roster instead of the transmittal list, ensure that you highlight everyone on the list that you are paying dues for. Don't do like a writing or a circle or a check. Make sure you highlight them so that we're clear. Because if I'm going through and I see that there's scribbling next to 20 people and you've only had 18 people that you're paying through, I don't know which 2 to not process. So that's gonna be very important. Again, any incomplete or incorrect paperwork will be returned. When I was teaching as a graduate assistant in college, we had the pass, fail, incomplete. There is no fail. Everyone is gonna get a chance to do their paperwork and get it correct. There is incomplete though, because ALA MIS and Nationals system requires us to go it in a certain way. And so that's why I'm wanting to get you guys this information now so that we can start doing that. All right. Transmittal list is one of the shorter documents. So if anybody has any questions about a transmittal list, go ahead and write those questions down now. Okay. Next up is going to be your membership application. Okay. So this is the document we'll be dealing with here. This is one of the documents. This one and the next one, we're going to go over the member data form. These are the ones that need to be like, I mean, all of this needs to be, really looked at and taken care of, but these are the ones that can throw your whole transmittal off. Because the amount of information that they need, because again, it's going to exist for 100 years. First thing at the top, you're going to do first name, middle name, last name. I am saying this because it used to be flipped in the past. Your home address, make sure that you're trying to make it as legible as possible. Your obvious city, state, and zip. You have a section for your home phone number and your cell phone number. If you don't have a home phone anymore, like me, and you just have a cell phone, please put your phone number in the cell phone section. Okay, and leave the home phone section blank. That way we know, okay, this is something, because in the future, there will be if technology continues for the Legion the way it has, eventually there will be text notifications. We're going to need to know if your phone is a landline or if it's a cell phone so that you can receive text notifications. Don't know when that's going to happen, but I would be shocked if it doesn't in the next 10 years. But that's speculation, but that's why that is what that is. The email address, another one. Make sure that email address is very legible, because that's how you're getting information from a lot of national, a lot of the stuff that's automatic that's in our programs that gets sent. They're going to want to have that good address. That's also going to be the email address that's entered where if you receive the Legionnaire, and that's why those email addresses, make sure they're very legible. Next up, and this is a big one, date of birth. In the date of birth, you'll see it says parenthesis next to it, it says required. We are requiring a date of birth here to make sure we're organizing our juniors and seniors. If they don't have a date of birth, we can't put it in, because again, then it throws, is this a senior? Is this a junior? Those are different payments. That throws the payment. So make sure you put a birth date in here. You'll put, are they 17 or 18 and over? And then this part, this next one, I'm going to circle it because everybody see it. I'm going to zoom in on the camera. I don't know how close I'm getting. This section here that says unit number. That is your unit number that they are joining. This is another section that's about half filled out. Always put that unit number in there, because when we're going through paperwork, right now I'm trying to go through and file all of our old membership applications, everything. If it doesn't say a unit number, now I have to go into the computer system and hope that people are still in there and then find them that way. So if you can put the unit number, this way we can file this with your unit files. And that way it's easier for us at department to be able to find something. If you call in and say, hey, I'm looking for a membership app from 2021 for Susie Smith. What unit is she in? That's going to be huge in finding. So that's one that doesn't get filled out a lot, that I'm asking, please mark that one, because that's going to help. And then location is going to be the location of your unit, which is going to be that same name from the front. That way it also, you'll notice there's a lot of repeat information. This way it keeps it all together as, oh, okay, now we know what transmittal it was on. We know what list it goes to. Okay. Here is something that a lot of people, I don't know if they've noticed it on the app. Have you been a member previously? So if you're a rejoin, you're coming back, you check yes, and you put your previous unit, city and state, and your ALA ID. Put those three in there, because that's going to be easier than to rejoin. And a lot of times too, if you're having somebody who's going to rejoin and they were in a different unit than the unit you're in now, they need to be rejoined and transferred, which is something I have to work with National on to have that process happen. And so that's why if it's a rejoin, that's a great spot to put that unit in. So that way it's easier to find them in the system and get them switched over promptly. The next part, ridiculously important because it gets left off and it is required, and that is the signature of applicant or legal guardian and the date. If we don't have a signature, this paper, it's null. It's just like if you went and filled out an official document and you didn't sign it, the paperwork's not signed by the applicant, we can't process it forward. It's got to be returned until we get that. Okay? So really keep an eye on those. Again, I want to highlight the email, the cell and home phone number difference, your date of birth and how important that is, what unit, so we have it in there for our files, and then again, that signature at the end there for you. Okay? All right. I know as these get, I'm going to give you 2 seconds to write down a little bit of questions if you have those before we move on to the eligibility section of the new member application. So we'll go ahead and go to that next slide, Mark. So this is the eligibility information. And again, all of this stuff that I'm going over, if one thing is wrong, it throws the whole thing off. So eligibility information, you're going to put who you're eligible through. That is the name of the veteran. So quick question. This is be a group answer. Can you join as a great grandchild?
No.
Correct answer. You cannot, as of 2019, you cannot join as a great grandchild. So eligibility through the name of the veteran. And as you can see on that form, it says if you're a female veteran, list your own name. Now, a lot of the auxiliary members have to join with if their eligible person is still alive, that eligible person needs to be a member of the Legion. And that's where you're going to ask you, okay, well, if they're living, the veteran, what post is the veteran in? What city is the veteran in? And what state is the veteran in? We would like, though it is not required, though it is helpful, we would like their American Legion number. We do not need it to process it through. If we have it, it's going to be more helpful and it's going to give you more of a complete, word now. But the information that you have, a complete, that's going to make it more complete. So, post, city, and state, you obviously need the American Legion number. You don't, but it will be helpful. Next up, we have living or deceased. If the veteran is living, they're, like I said, must have your Legion member number. If they are deceased, please have a copy of the veteran's DD 214 for your unit. You do not need to send us a copy of their DD 214 once the application is signed by both the applicant and the adjutant. But please keep hold of your records. You do not have to send us the DD 214. I'm seeing some confusion. We don't need it. You guys need it at your level for your records. Go ahead, next slide. Okay. This one, veteran served. This one is a big one, and it's probably the most missed section of the membership application. Which conflict your veteran served in? So if they served in World War I, or any time after December 7th, 1941, and check all that apply. So some of your options in there is we have the Global War on Terror, the Gulf War, which actually in Alamus is listed as one, Panama, Lebanon and Grenada, Vietnam, Korea, World War II, and then we have a section for other conflicts. So if you were serving during the Cold War, anything like that, or there wasn't one of the official listed, you can list there. So make sure you mark that first box anytime after December 7th, 1941, and then one of the other 8 boxes. And if one of these first 7 don't fit, check number 8, that other conflicts, then we can get that thing processed. A lot of times we will send this back because this part, they don't know it, so they don't mark it. We can't process it through. Alamus literally will put a stop. So a lot of times too, what I think is important for everybody to understand is if we're sending something back to you or we get stopped and we say something needs changed, it's because we physically can't push it through the computer. That's why we're sending those back, because the computer won't let us. We get to a certain point where it's like, you got this information? No. Start over. Next up, we have the applicant's relationship to the veteran. This is how the applicant is related to the veteran, not the other way around. This is where I see a lot of mistakes on this one, because you have male spouse, female spouse, daughter, granddaughter, mother, grandmother, sister, and self. A lot of people are putting who they're eligible under, and then they're marking male spouse because they're reading it as it's the male spouse. This is your relationship to the veteran, not the veteran's relationship to you. All right, and then another signature that is required, so this is a form that requires 2 signatures. The applicant's signature, and then to be completed by the American Legion adjutant, and then they sign this, that they certify that the above names individuals served at least 1 day of active duty during the dates marked above and was honorably discharged or is still serving honorably. That's why you don't have to send us the DD 214s, but the adjutant is going to need to see it to verify. Once this signature is filled in, the adjutant has told us this person is good. They've checked everything that they need to check. Their qualifications are good. They have signed it. The adjutant has signed it. We can now add you as a new member to the American Legion. All right, everybody back in, ready to go? We're jumping into the member data form, which it is your most detailed form of all of them. Now, the first thing to let everybody know is with the member data form, it is only 1 form per person. So you are only addressing 1 person on a member data form. Sometimes we'll get a member data form that has 4 different people on it. At the top, and I think where the confusion comes in is at the top of the form, there's date, member ID number, and then your unit number. So let me get into that in a little bit. The uses for the member data form and why there's so many different sections and why you have to do 1 person per form. You can do a lot of different things with this form. You can report a member as deceased, which is going to be that second section. You can change a member's information. We're working with this form, by the way, friends at home. Member data. You can change the member's information. So let's say somebody moves, but they're staying in their unit, but they want their new address updated so they can keep receiving mail and stuff like that. That's going to happen there in that second section. The third section is your unit transfers. The unit transfers section is going to have a lot of stuff, and we're going to go into detail each section here later. And then finally, the other things you can do with this member data form is you can change your marital status in there. You can change if someone is a PUFL or an honorary life member. You can change a junior to a senior with this form. You can rejoin this form, so you can put the rejoin on this instead of the membership app if you want to. And then you can you can cancel membership on here. You can correct information. If someone was marked as deceased and they shouldn't have been, like, you can go back and use this form to correct that. And then if you don't want to receive any mail or anything, you can use this form for that as well. Again, a very detailed form with a lot you can do on it. So it's very important to just keep it 1 form per person. Go ahead and go next slide. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what each thing does. So changing a member's status. So their marital status, so that's going to start here. We're going to start at the member change part. All right. So before we get into this stuff, I do want to go over the different sections. We talked about what things you can do and everything. The deceased. So we're going to start at the very top, the deceased person. So if a person is deceased, you're going to put their member name here and then their deceased date, the date that they passed, not the date you're submitting it. So the date that they passed. So you'd put the date, their member number, your unit number, their name, and the deceased date. That's all you have to do for the deceased section. Okay. That next section, the corrections, you're going to want to write. So if it's a former name or new name, right, you're going to want to fill out the sections of like a former address and the new address. You're going to want to fill all these different parts out so that we can then transfer that information over properly. Again, if you don't have a new telephone number, you don't need to put that in there. If you don't have a new email address, you don't need to put that in there. If you didn't change your name, you don't need to do that, but it gives you the option to do all of those. The third section is going to be your unit transfers. If you're looking at your transmittal, at your member data form, is your unit transfers. Those are to be initiated by the unit you're transferring to, not transferring from. So up in the corner, date, member number, unit number, it's the unit that they're going to be coming to. Okay. Under there, you're going to put their name, address, city, state, zip, and phone, the previous unit and previous department. Because if you put unit 10 and you don't put a department, we don't know if it's Florida, Michigan. We're going to assume it's Michigan. But again, because we're keeping these documents for a century, we want it to be correct. So put your department in there. If it's Michigan to Michigan, that's fine. If it's Florida to Michigan, if it's anywhere else, that's where you'll put that in there. The unit number, the new unit number is the unit that you're bringing them into. So if they're bringing them into your unit, you're gonna put that there. And as you can see, we've already filled in the department is Michigan. Here, again, 2 more signature sections, 2 more required signatures. Always remember, if it says signature and you don't fill out the signature, assume you're going to see that piece of paper. So the member signature is here and their phone number. And then you have the signature of the new unit officer, not a new unit officer, but the new units officer. And that is required there. If either of those signatures aren't there, back it goes. This next section, did the previous unit collect and submit current dues for this member? Yes or no? Okay. If they did, you do not have to add a payment for them. If they didn't, they do not get processed through. You can transfer someone without paying their dues and putting them through. But if you don't, if they already paid their previous unit and you send in a payment for them, the whole transmittal has to come back because you sent us too much money. And then finally, we have the member change statuses, which I kind of want to go through in some detail here. Go ahead and go to that next slide there, Mark. Thanks, sir. All right. So on this member status changes part, and you'll see for a lot of you who've had Alamus, you'll see where it says changes, like you change status. That's where that part is. You're going to put the member's name, and then you'll put a marital status. Are they married, single, or widowed? The next part you'll have is this member now a paid up for life member or honorary? Again, you can do this if it's all the same member and you need to change their address, transfer them, and update stuff. You can all do it, but if it's more than one person, that's why you need those additional forms. The member, okay, you can change if a member should be marked as a junior member, not a senior member. So remember how earlier in the membership application I talked about it's very important to have the birth date? This is a legitimate thing that happened to us. We had somebody send in a transmittal with a junior on the transmittal list, okay? Between them mailing it in and us receiving it here in department, that junior had a birthday. Okay? Because Alamus is a computer, the Alamus ALA-MIS system, sorry, I keep saying Alamus, it's ALA-MIS, and we'll get into why it's that in a little bit. But with the juniors, so we had the junior, they sent it in, the junior had a birth date while it was in transit. So when it got to me and I go to enter it into ALA-MIS, it's now senior. It's senior that they owe senior money for. So now the check is off. So now the entire transmittal has to be returned because everything, and it's when it left their hands, it was correct. But that's why we're dealing with a computer system that will tell you no. And so that's where if you have somebody, and a lot of these are going to be on stuff, I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of this recently and we're addressing it, but stuff from the past definitely is going to be one of those where you're going to want to look at those junior members to senior members. A section where the member needs to be rejoined into our unit. You can rejoin via that way as well. If you're looking at, again, that list at the bottom, the member has requested in writing that they wish to cancel their membership. We need a copy of the writing. Because we can't just like if Julie's mad at Betty and Julie decides, well, you know, so we need Betty's writing that Betty actually is wanting to cancel her membership. Because this is stuff we have to. Oh, we got some pranksters in the back of the room. But yeah, send in that paperwork because I will send it back to you if I don't have their saying, yeah, cancel my membership. The member has been marked deceased in error. Please correct. You can actually do that. We have actually in ALA-MIS, we can bring people back. So if somebody gets marked as deceased, do not freak out. Don't let them freak out. It is fixable. Okay. Most things are fixable in ALA-MIS. It's just the process of getting in there and fixing, which is what I'm tasked with doing. And also enforcing all of those things that ALA-MIS does. Next up, the member has requested that we do not send them any mail to their home. Some people don't like to get mail sent to their house. My parents are at that age where they're like, please stop sending me things that I have to throw away or that my kids are gonna have to deal with when I'm gone. So they don't like mail to the house. This is another thing you can do there. Again, you'll see at the bottom. Print name of person submitting form. A lot of people think that only needed to be filled out in this third section. It does not. It needs to be filled out if you're doing anything. So print the name of the person submitting the form, their signature, and their phone number. So if you're the one submitting the form for your unit and you don't sign and signature and date, or I'm sorry, an email, it'll go back to you. All right, that is member data. So now we are moving on to my little buddy from National, the ALA MIS program. So what does ALA MIS stand for? Why it's not ALAMIS and it's ALA MIS is it is the American Legion Auxiliary Management Information System. Okay, what is ALAMIS? ALAMIS is a national database used by our units, our districts, and the departments from not just Michigan, from around the country to manage membership, reports, leadership information, and it deals with all of that stuff. It's National's big database, and it has not just us, but everybody in there. So that's why earlier when I said about put the state that you're going to transfer from, that's why that has to go to National, because they're the only ones that can transfer somebody from a different state to our state. No one from our state can transfer to a different state without National physically doing it. I have to let National know. National actually has to do it. So that is ALA MIS. So we're going to go through what the ALA MIS application is. All right, that's this one here. One thing I do want to let you know is each unit is allowed to have up to 2 designated users for the ALAMIS access, or ALA MIS access. Okay. So 2 people from your unit, you cannot have a third person. If a third person tries to get access and 2 people already have access, that person will not get access. So there are different levels and different types of access. And we're going to go break them down individually. First, your levels. We have unit view, unit right, unit full, and district view. And then with our types of access, we have our new access, our renewal access, and our switch levels of access. And switch levels is actually 2 things. All right. Okay, so unit view access in ALA MIS. So you're one of your 2 units users, you get your access, you want unit view access. This allows you to go into the system and you can view, download, and print unit reports. Okay, so let's say somebody was entered, they sent in a new member application, that application person got put in, but they haven't got paid through. So remember how I said the transfers, they got to pay them through. They'll actually be put in a little like unit pending section. And all of those reports are in there. You can see who your new members are. You have a new member report. You have leadership reports. You have who joined your recruiting reports. All of your reports are in there. And with unit view access, which costs $10, you can view, download, and print all of those reports. As a person who's doing the membership for your unit, so important. Like so important to have. Again, it's like trying to pass a college class without a textbook. Next up is unit right. So you're going to have the same capabilities that you have from unit view, but you are also then on your own end able to add new members, edit member profiles, and update unit leadership. So again, what that means by add new members is you can put them into the system with unit right, but then we would still be processing them through a department. So they would be in that pending section. Okay. The most popular access that everybody has is the $20 unit full access. That allows you to do everything that you can do in unit view and unit right. You are also then able to pay your dues and rejoin former members to your unit. Okay. This does require that you take National's ALA MIS virtual training. It's about an hour. You will sit on Zoom with a representative from National, and they will train you. If you sign up for unit full access and you do not take your training from National, you do not have unit full access. You do not get that access until you've taken that training. And then finally, we have the district view access, which is for district level representatives. Each district is allowed 2 representatives. And in district view, a district can then run department reports and they can view individual unit reports for their entire district. So you can see what all of your units are doing. The way I like to explain the difference between unit, district, department, and national is city, county, state, federal. So that's kind of what you're thinking of. A lot of the stuff is going to happen at the unit level that you guys are going to do and then come up. So again, for unit full access, if you want to do it all yourself and you want to process your members and do all those things, except for the things you need national or department to do ourselves, unit full access is the best one because you can just get to a point where you're literally handling it, and then we're just checking our due diligence to make sure everything went in. We have one unit, she sent us copies of the transmittal and stuff, and I always enter it already entered because everything is already in there. I'll double check it, but she's able to handle it all in-house. So that's really something that a lot of people are liking. All right. So I do want to go on to the different types of access. So new access is going to be somebody who has not had ALA-MIS access for the past year. So if you're new or you were in ALA-MIS 2 years ago, you didn't have it last year, you would be added as a new access. Renew access is going to continue your current level of access for another year, just like your membership. So if you renew that, then you keep your access going. Your switch access, you can replace a person in your unit as one of the 2 designated unit users, or you can upgrade or downgrade your unit level or your level of access. Okay. So if you're going to replace one of the 2 people, you would mark that as a switch. If you're going to change what level of access you're going to be doing, you would mark that as a switch as well. Updating access for 2026 will start November 1st. Okay, so think of it like an enrollment, right? So on November 1st, department will start accepting applications, and we will accept those applications from November 1st, 2025 to January 9th, 2026. Every year it's going to be that window. It's probably going to be that 1st of November till the 2nd Friday in the new year. Because what National does is then they get a hold of me and they say, Mike, here's our list of everybody we have in Alamus. If anybody is on this list that shouldn't have access, we're going to assume that everyone on this list is supposed to have access. We're going to charge department for their access. So what happened last year is everyone who had not logged in since 2023, who had not used their Alamus and were still on that list, we removed them from the list. We let National, we pulled them off. Some people were upset because they didn't know they needed to renew, but what happened was it saved the department a substantial amount of money. Because we weren't paying for people. There were some people who had been paying, we'd been paying for Alamus for 3-4 years. So any users whose renewals are not received by January 9th, 2026, you will be removed from the ALA-MIS program. So again, anyone who has not sent in their renewal or will be, and who's in the program, who has not sent in their renewal, will be removed sometime around the middle of January. And that's going to happen every year. I'm really happy with our units this year because we handled it pretty well. I felt that everybody was like, okay, this is why we're doing this. But keep those dates in mind, that November through January every year, that's going to be when we're going to be doing those accesses. Okay. So now I'm actually going to go through the document itself and show you guys how to fill this out. If you want ALA-MIS access, this is going to be how you get that access. And again, this is the first, obviously, of my performance here. This is the first of many trainings we'll be doing, but we will start to get deeper into these trainings and different types of trainings to help everybody get everything to run smoothly and efficiently. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to mark the type of access you want at the top. You'll see new access, renew access, or switch access. Okay, you're going to mark that at the top, which one of those 3. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go down and it says what kind of access. And the great thing, we've been updating these, and I want to thank Mark and Shannon for getting these updated and then getting them on our website. It actually has the explanation that I went over earlier about unit full, unit right, and district view and what those contain. You're going to check those boxes. It also has your payment total there as well. Okay, that'll be that next section. And you'll see right there, there's the little star. If you request to switch access, please indicate why and name the member with a current access who is being replaced below. So you'll see down here, there's a section. So, you know, let's say there's two people from your unit, you're gonna replace one of the people. You write in, I'm switching access, I'm replacing a person in my unit. If you don't list the name of the person, I don't know who to remove. So list the name of the person, even if you're like, because if you're the second person, you don't need to remove it if you want to. But please list the name of that person because that's going to help us keep everything straight and keep what we're doing together. I don't know if everybody is aware of this, but Michigan currently is the 5th largest auxiliary in the nation, membership wise. So there are only 4 other states that process more memberships than we do. And that's why we're national and us are wanting everyone to start to check out this ALA-MIS system. Because again, everyone who's started to use it, who uses it and feels it is super helpful compared to beforehand. There are hands being raised in the room. I don't want to. But yeah, it does take a little bit of getting used to. There's things I'll find in it. I've been in the job about 8 months. And there are still things that I find in Alamis that helps me make my job more efficient and faster in the different reports and things like that. So we'll continue on with how we want to fill this out. Make sure then again, we got that other unit number and district number. Make sure you get those correct. And then the calendar year of access being requested for, we've already filled that in for you for 2025. And then we'll put those when it's time for the 2026 renewals, it'll say 26. Chair held within unit. So if you're the membership chair, the treasurer, the president, whatever, you're going to put that information in there. And then we go down to our member information. And again, all these sections, if you see a line, please write on it. Your name, your member ID, because these are all questions. These forms are all questions Alamis asks me when I'm putting it in. So what's the member's name? What's the member's ID number? Their email, this one. Make sure the email is legible, especially if you are doing unit full. Because if you give us the wrong email and we punch it or it's not readable, we put an A in instead of an O in a word or something like that, you will not get your training email and know to take your training. So it's important that that email one is listed because that's how they're going to communicate with you. National does a lot of email communication with us. Like how I mainly communicate with National is via email. Like if you go up to National as down to unit, like the phone calling gets drastically less. So they are wanting, and that's them wanting to start to digitize things, bring everything ahead. And that's why they're wanting you to have all of this stuff filled out so they can have it correct in their system. Again, you're switching access, the reason for your switch, and the name of the person you are replacing. Okay. We literally had one where somebody sent in, they were going to be their unit, whatever. And they sent it in and they already had 2 people. They didn't say that they were switching. They didn't say they were replacing. We sent their check back to them and we said, your unit already has 2 people that are in Alamis or in ALA-MIS. They have to figure, like the unit has to figure that out on their end. You know what I mean? Of who's going to be the people with the access. Okay. Go ahead and go to that next slide. Just want to reiterate a couple points. Again, if you request access and are replacing someone in your unit as a designated user, please list the name of the current designated user you are replacing. If you do not list the current designated user's name and your unit already has 2 people with designated access, you will not be added and given access. If you upgrade your level of access, this one is important. If you upgrade your level of access to a higher level of access, so it's the middle of the year, right? So it's February, you've already sent your stuff in, you have your access. If you want to have a higher level of access, you will need to pay the full amount for that access. So if you paid unit right $15 on November 15th and you decide on February 14th that you want unit full, then you would need to pay $20 and that would take you till November. Okay. Any questions anyone has on the ALA MIS access application? Go ahead and write those down now.
I just wanna say something, if you don't have an email, you cannot have ALA MIS access.
Yes, that is true.
You
That
must
was
have an email.
our executive director in the back made a very good point. If you do not have an email, you cannot have ALA MIS access. So always remember that as well.
And then the charge, whether it's an upgrade or a downgrade, you
Mhm.
pay the full amount
Yep.
for the change.
Yep. All right. The don'ts and do's. I didn't want to do do's and don'ts because I wanted to end it positively. So we're gonna do don'ts and do's. Don't, and we'll explain why. Don't call the staff at state headquarters with general membership paperwork questions. Okay? Put a written or typed, and also don't put a written or typed note on or with your transmittal. A lot of times I will get wonderful letters with the transmittal, and some of them it's like the Civil War, my dearest Clementine, the reason that we tell you guys not to call staff, and we'll tell you in the dues what you should be doing. The staff at state headquarters is literally our executive director and me. That is it. Again, we are the 5th largest auxiliary in the country. We don't have time to do with everything that we're tasked with doing, actually sitting down and working through, working with units through that, like as a help desk. We do have help options, and I will show you everybody where to go to get their help. All right. So again, don't call state or staff at state headquarters with general membership paperwork questions, and don't put a written or typed note on your transmittal. Do reach out to your district level representative or department membership chair, who I will be introducing, who's here today, and I will be introducing at the end of this training. So do reach out to them if you need assistance with filling out paperwork. You'll reach out to your district level representative or the department membership chair. They should be able to help you with any questions you have about the paperwork. Okay? You can find your district level representatives in your textbook at our website at mishalox.org. Okay, if you go in there, you'll see a tab for our department presidents. It has all of our department officers. It actually has all of our district presidents, and you can click on the district president's name, and there is a contact sheet that will pop up, and you can contact them directly. You put your own email in, you can contact them directly, and that gets sent to them. Excuse me. And then they are able to help you. The chain of command is we want our units to reach out to our districts for anything that they need help with. The districts help them. If the district needs help with something, then district reach out to department. And then if we need help with anything, we reach out to national, like I said, for those out-of-state transfers and things like that. That's just going to help everything run a lot more smoothly, and is going to help us be able to get a lot of these memberships processed faster, get everything in better, which is going to help our numbers. It's going to help our percentages, and just help the health of our organization going forward. District level representatives, in case they were not aware, are expected to assist units with these questions and should be available and happy to help. So if you're a district level representative, be prepared to help people with membership. And that's a great way too, because it's going to get more people that are coming in. They're learning from the people who have done it. We have a lot of history on display here and stuff like that too. So it's really, that was one thing that I really like about this organization is the veterans, pun intended, of the organization helping the new ones come in. And so that's where you will reach out to your district level representative. Another do is you will want to fill out your transmittal correctly as directed on the form. And what I was saying earlier about the notes is, if a transmittal is filled out correctly, there should never be a need for a note. Because I'll get a note, well, this is for 2024. No. You'd put 2024 right there. And so that's one thing where if the transmittal is filled out the way it's supposed to be, you're not going to need to send in a note with anything because the transmittal and the form itself is self-explanatory.
Mike,
Yes.
just as a reminder, there's another level between district level representative and the department membership chair.
Mm-hmm.
You also have your area.
Area representative, that's right.
There's 5 of them.
That's right. And I'm actually gonna, Candy, I'm actually gonna have you come up in a little bit just to introduce yourself so people can see you and see who you are and everything?
We all know who's cheating.
Well, there's people at home. All right, so those are our don'ts and do's. So write down anything like that if you have any questions about that part. And this next part is helpful tips to make your life easier. So these are not official, okay? So you don't, this part, this is me saying, hey, if you do these things, I can get your stuff done faster for you. So keep a copy of all of your membership paperwork for your records for 3 to 5 years as a best practice. Okay? We are responsible for keeping it forever. But a majority of the issues that we see, hey, a person didn't get added to this, they were on this transmittal, they didn't pay, there was some sort of issue. A lot of those we'll see within the last 5 years. Okay? So if you're sitting there now, you'd want to have all your records from 2020, and then you can start getting rid of those as you move into the next year. But having your records 3 to 5 years so that way you can find stuff, because it's a lot easier to go through a unit's 5 years of paperwork than department's 105 years of paperwork. Because that's literally, hey, where's this application? Like it'd be like going through a museum and being like, where are Pharaoh's shoes? So make sure the membership paperwork that you hold on to your representative. Next, excuse me, put your renewals on their own transmittal and your new member applications, transfers, and rejoins on another. This is something that I've just kind of noticed in doing this for 8 months. A lot of the mistakes happen on the transmittal when somebody sends in a new member app, right? And they didn't write the veterans, the conflict that the veteran served in. Well, if you don't mark that on one new member app and you've sent that new member app in with 50 renewals, everything goes back. So what I tell people is if you have renewals, put all your renewals on one transmittal. Then put your rejoins, your new members, the stuff where you're going to possibly make more mistakes on their own transmittals. That way, if there is a mistake with that, we can still get everybody renewed and you're not holding up your whole unit. So that's just something that way new members have correct, complete, missing eligibility information. Members who are just being renewed can still be processed through. Very, very, very important. If a member paid online, you do not need to send in a payment for them. One of the biggest mistakes we get in our paperwork is overpayments to department. So what that is you send in a list of 20 people and 5 people already renewed online. That's $189 in overpayments you sent to department. I'm sending you your money back so that you can hold on to your money. But yeah, so that's something, make sure that you're being on top of that. And then finally, if a person is changing their last name as part of a transmittal, put the former last name on that transmittal list. Okay, the reason that is so if it's Judy Smith and she's going to be Judy Robinson, okay, and you've sent in a member data form that's changing her name, I'm going to do that after we process her through. So on that transmittal, still list her as Smith. And then on the next transmittals, use the new name that they're using because they're still in the system under the old name until I change it. And normally I'll do it through the transmittals first and then go through the other stuff. Okay. All right. Those are some tips to make your life easier.